Welcome to Dudes on Movies. I'm your dude Scott.
I'm your dude Dave.
And today we're discussing 1996's Scream, directed by Wes Craven and starring Neve Campbell. But before we do that, let's talk about what we've been watching. Dave, what have you been watching?
I saw Immaculate with Sydney Sweeney.
Heck yeah.
Yes. I thought it was very good. And even though I could sense where the story was going, I still was surprised by its biggest twists. And I was really impressed with the acting and the sets. It's kind of an old world horror movie like we haven't had in a while. Mm-hmm. And it is a fun time at the horror show, everybody. Please check it out.
Yeah. Did you appreciate the ending?
Yes, I did.
All right.
Yeah.
I really loved it. I think that actually made me appreciate Sydney Sweeney's acting a lot more than I have lately.
Oh, yeah. So. She's excellent in that ending and excellent throughout the movie.
She is.
Apparently, she executive produced the thing, too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Immaculate is immaculate, you could say.
It's a great film.
Yeah, that's awesome. I watched some hot garbage, Dave.
Okay.
I watched Bride of Chucky, and I was like, what other horribleness from that era can I watch?
Sure.
And it's called Leprechaun in the Hood.
Wow.
This movie is bad.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it before, and thought, let's give it a go. I'd seen Lep 1 through 4, so why not watch the 5th one?
It's the 5th one?
Yes. He went to space in part 4, so where do you go next? The Hood.
How did he go from space? Oh, Jesus. Okay.
But I do appreciate that it opens up in the 70s, and you see Ice-T with, like, a big afro. And he finds the leprechaun and gets, the amulet or flute or whatever the hell he grabs from him,
Right.
But it has a little bit of stuff to it that I appreciate, but it is just really awful.
Yeah.
There's a lot of off-screen kills. There's just nonsense. There's scenes that are totally useless. It's just a very bad movie.
Right.
Do not watch Leprechaun in the Hood.
That's probably good advice.
What you should do is watch Scream, Dave.
That's right.
Because this is the last episode in Horror Month, and we had to do a doozy. The whole month has been doozies, really.
Yeah, one after the other.
Yeah, so why not go with Scream, the movie that changed the landscape in the mid-'90s? Why don't you give everyone a synopsis?
Absolutely, man. Yes, so like you said, this is the mid-'90s slasher movie that brought new life to its genre and also changed how we view horror films, because most of us had never seen a movie where characters were this self-aware. And it's got all the elements of these kinds of films that we're used to, and then it plays games with us and even comments on the situation. It's not a perfect film, but it's still got a lot going for it, and I think it's an ideal way to end our horror month.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Mm-hmm.
This movie came out, and it was like a big sensation, right?
Right.
Like, I think it came out around Christmas time in 96, because, what else do you do at Christmas time? You watch a horror movie, right?
A lot of people do.
It's true.
Yeah,
though.
they really do. We joke about it, but it's actually a pretty normal activity now.
Yep. Because Christmas is scary.
It certainly is.
But the film, it spawned a franchise with 6 films in it now. But this one was just something unique and special, because at this point in time, horror had become kind of just, I would say, boring almost, or too much up its own ass in a way. Like,
Yes.
I don't know the best way to put it, but it wasn't in a great place
Right.
before this happened. Like, there was still good stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think there was anything that was really unique or new for a while, at least for most of the 90s. There were several good and unique ideas, but it all seemed like retreads from the 80s, or like holdover stuff from the 80s.
Well, if you think about horror franchises and how many of them there were, how many well-known, like, slashers you can name, there's that many of them, and that's just, like, there are still thousands more that you can't name, and maybe they're not even franchises, they're just, one-off titles, but there's that many thousands of horror movies with this premise.
Yeah.
Teenagers are being chased by, some maniac.
Yeah.
And it had been done that many times. And so the only way to breathe new life into it is to do what Scream does here.
Right.
And I think Wes Craven kind of got it off the ground a little bit with, like, a couple years earlier when he made Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Yeah.
Because, I guess stale might be the word I was thinking
yes.
of. Everything was just more of the same, nothing new. We've seen it all before. And, yeah, New Nightmare was excellent because that got very meta.
Right.
With Heather Langenkamp playing herself, dealing with the fallout of the Freddy films, and actually getting sucked into that world.
Yes.
In quote unquote real life.
Right. She can't distinguish between like real
Yeah.
life and cinema anymore, especially because like her husband in that movie is a like an effects man who gets killed on set. And then like Wes Craven is a character in the movie, and so is Bob Shea and John Saxon.
Yeah.
And like it turns out they're friends with Heather Langenkamp, and it really like set the stage for what became Scream, I think.
Right. But this one, Scream, just a huge commentary on the genre as a whole.
Of course.
And, I mean, I think the world was ready for it.
Yeah.
It was a huge hit.
It was just a perfect moment for it. Yeah, like just in time. Like the Scream
we
came
saved
around.
the slasher.
Yes, that's right.
I remember watching it when it came out and just thinking, this is amazing.
I know.
It just blew my mind. I was some kind of teenager around then. And like, yeah, I mean, what more do I want? Yes. I guess I wanted nudity, but I didn't get it. So that movie just teased me.
I mean, yes, the nudity is definitely missing. And like you're waiting for it. You think it's coming. And because like it's made all these references to movies you've seen, you think for sure it's going to happen.
Right.
And when it doesn't, somehow it's not a disappointment because you're so kind of like caught up in the rest of what's going on.
The whole movie is subverting your expectations, right?
Yeah.
And it's doing it brilliantly because it's playing on every single trope you know, and it's using them, but it's using them in ways that we don't expect, I guess.
Right.
A lot of the things that happen in the movie, they'll comment on something that is stupid from a horror movie, right?
Yeah.
Like running up the stairs is something they talk about. But then Sydney has to run up the stairs at one point because she's locked herself in and doesn't have time to unlock the door.
I think it happens right after she says it.
Literally, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the movie's filled with those little things.
Right.
I think that's what makes it great.
Yeah, of course. Because it's made by not only people who love the genre, but people who were like, waist deep in the genre. I mean, Wes Craven had been making horror films for, 25 years at that point.
Yeah.
His name is synonymous with horror, and his most famous creation is Freddy Krueger, which is like that is the actual like when people think of slasher movies, that's probably the first name that comes to mind, the first image that comes to mind.
Yeah. I think it might be the best one. I
Yeah.
mean, Halloween also up there, but
Of course.
Freddy's probably my favorite. The first Nightmare on Elm Street might be my favorite of all these slasher genre films.
Mm-hmm.
Might be my favorite.
I can't believe I've never sat down and actually considered what my favorite is, because if I said one right now, I'd think to myself, "Oh no!" But actually, no, it's this one.
Well, there's 400 billion of them.
I'll have to do the math at some point. Yes,
rank them all out in order.
Probably so. I would do that.
It's true. I've seen some of his lists. Everybody, his top 10s is like the top 10 dozen.
Yes.
Yeah.
List making with Dave. It's just yes.
I love a good list though.
Of course.
I've got my own lists.
Yes.
But I think we should just talk about this movie, Dave.
Of
What
course.
do you think? Should
Yeah.
we get into the plot?
Let's do it.
All right, the movie opens up with Drew Barrymore, everybody. She's home alone. She's making popcorn, and she gets a phone call from some stranger she doesn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And she says they got the wrong number, hangs up on them, and they call back. She hangs up again, they call back. And it's this guy, it's a very sexy voice.
Yeah.
Asking, what she's doing. Like, what's your name? Like, flirting with her. And she eventually kind of goes with it.
Yeah, amazingly enough, she goes with it because the creep has called her back twice. And she just, and she stays on the line, and she said her boyfriend Steve is coming over. Casey has told you, voice, that Steve's coming.
She says that later. Not right away, because she says she doesn't have a boyfriend. She lies to him.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
She lies because she's 17 and she wants to hear what this hot guy has to say.
Yeah, I get that.
This hot voice.
It's more just, and I mean, like, I don't think that, like, any 17-year-old is precisely in a committed relationship. Exactly. I mean, you do make, a vow to each other, but obviously, you're 17.
Yeah.
What I was mostly commenting on is just the idea that, like, why does Casey stay on the line? She knows this guy's trouble.
I don't know. And even after, like, everything goes haywire, she's still carrying the phone around.
What is she doing? I know.
I'm like, what are you doing?
I know, right? Put it down.
She uses it as a weapon at one. She like hits Ghostface.
She does, yes, and that's a good way to employ the phone in that situation.
Yeah.
But like Yeah, stop taking the calls.
But she also has the knife at that point, right?
She does.
Stab him in the face.
Right? It's a weird thing that has happened with probably every podcast ever recorded about the movie Scream, is that like taking a movie that is making fun of horror and then we're making fun of the movie that makes fun of horror. It's just like the nesting doll of criticism.
Yes, and then there's going to be a podcast that talks about that podcast that does that, and it's just going to keep going.
I know.
And then eventually the universe will implode on itself, and it's Scream's fault.
That's how I want the world to end.
Yes, just we kind of fold over into a movie podcast amalgamation.
Oh my God. Two assholes doing an Event Horizon.
We have to never do that movie then. It might occur.
Right, it's true.
But yeah, she's talking to this guy and he says like, what's your favorite scary movie? And she tells him or A Nightmare on Elm Street. Why do I call it Freddy Krueger, Dave?
It's the same reason you also said like Chucky 2 the other week.
That one, though, I intentionally said.
Did you? Okay,
yes.
Got it.
Anyway, A Nightmare on Elm Street. And you get a funny joke about how she says the first one was good, but the rest sucked.
Yeah.
Because he directed both these movies, everybody.
Yes.
So, and it keeps going playful like that, and he keeps asking her name. And she keeps saying, why do you want to know my name? And he says, because I want to know who I'm looking at. Cue the boom.
Yep. And it's legit chilling
in
the moment, because you're just like, I mean, oh my God, she hadn't like counted on, oh my God, this guy's actually here. And he's looking at me through this window, and where is he? I can't see him, but he can see me. That's pretty damn scary.
Right. And she says, what did you say? And he goes, I want to know who I'm talking to. Like, he literally pronounces it that way.
Right.
And the ruse doesn't go on long, because immediately he's like, if you hang up, I'll gut you like a fish.
Whew.
Yeah. So the stakes have really gone up.
Yeah, he's being charming 1 second, and then after he reveals that he can see her, he turns into Ghostface. He turns into the killer.
The guy who does the voice is a guy named Roger Jackson.
Yeah.
On IMDb, he looks like he might be a serial killer. I don't know what else he's done. I'm just saying.
He's a voice actor.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's what I love about it, is that, in fact, I want more animated films to use people like Roger Jackson.
Yeah. Anna Kendrick can get a role in live action. It's fine.
That's right.
It's fine, everybody.
You don't need Will Smith. You don't need George Clooney. You don't need to put like front load your movie with these huge salaries when you could hire talented voice actors.
Kevin Hart has plenty of money.
He certainly
fine.
does.
He doesn't need to do your movie.
He's well taken care of.
So Ghostface has her quite scared now.
Yeah.
And she says she's going to call the cops, and she threatens that her boyfriend's going to come and kick his ass.
Oh, man.
Which is, I'm sure this guy's very afraid of your boyfriend who plays varsity football.
He's big and he plays football and he'll kick the shit out of you.
Yeah.
I want to say that to somebody someday. It's just the great threat.
Drew Barrymore is great during this whole sequence,
fantastic,
right? Like,
yes.
she really delivers.
Because, think about her life. She's been, an iconic actor since age 6.
Yeah.
And now she's, almost in adulthood, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows that she's, the biggest star in the movie. And she also knows that she's about to get greased, 10 minutes into the film. Yes. But the audience doesn't.
Yes.
I mean, it must be an awesome... it must have been a cool experience.
Yeah, and I think she originally went for the Sydney character. I don't know if they didn't give it to her or if she said, actually, I'd rather play Casey at the intro, because that would really subvert everyone's expectations.
Knowing how big a star she was at the time, she probably could call her own shot that way, and she probably just went, oh yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, and they're both really cool roles to play, right? Like this girl who just gets totally murdered, the whole opening of the movie, the whole 10 minutes it's her movie,
Yes, it's entirely on her shoulders, and she's anchoring everything. And yeah, she knows exactly where to and hiding behind the TV set and screaming just enough, and being as freaked out as necessary, and then when the popcorn, the Jiffy Pop, you get the explosion,
it starts burning.
Yes, I mean she's great.
Yeah, she's great. The whole opening sequence is excellently done. So the guy on the phone says, your boyfriend's name isn't Steve, is it? And apparently he's got him tied up on the patio out back.
Yeah.
And she turns the floodlights on, and he's out there taped up, he's bloody, he's scared out of his mind.
Right.
And he tells her to turn the lights off and they're going to play a game. Like, this is Saw or something.
Pretty much,
like,
yes.
But she has to answer the scary movie questions, right? And one of them is, who was the killer on Friday the 13th? And she says, Jason. No, I've seen it a million times. It's Jason. And they keep saying, no, you're wrong. It was Jason's mother in the first movie.
Yes.
So now he's going to kill Steve because she got it wrong.
How did he word that question?
I don't know. Who was the killer in Friday the 13th?
Okay, so I guess it is fair.
Yeah.
It's a fair question. And the correct answer is not Jason Voorhees. It's Mrs. Voorhees.
She should have said, which one?
That would have been better. Like, if she'd like, okay, technically speaking, I mean, I know he was in, like, the sequels, but, like, are you talking about Mrs. Voorhees?
Goes into it, yeah. Of course she does not know this.
Right.
I didn't know it when I watched the movie.
Okay.
Did you know it?
Yes, because
Okay.
I was old enough to have seen the movie already, but I probably would have still answered
I mean,
Jason.
I had seen several Friday the 13th, and I'd forgotten Jason's mom was the killer in the original. Like,
Well, and I mean, even though I knew the answer, like I said, my first reaction, who's the killer in Friday the 13th, I would have said, yeah, Jason Voorhees.
yeah. And in that situation, when your life is on the line, you
Yeah.
kind of just would jump, oh, yeah, it's Jason, of course.
Of course,
Yeah.
yes.
But now the ghost face killer comes in the house and is after her, and she goes out back. He keeps chasing her, but she sees her parents coming down the road, so she kind of starts running towards the road. But the killer is behind her, and this is a really cool shot, Dave. She's running towards the camera, and it's just the camera's kind of farther away from her, right?
Yeah.
And she's in the back, and she's running towards the camera in slow-mo as the killer catches up to her, puts his arm around her, and then, like, very, like, clumsily stabs her in the chest with the knife. And it doesn't cut at all. It's in a really cool shot, and it's actually pretty scary because they catch up to you, stab you, you're helpless, can't do anything about it.
Right.
I'd never seen a shot like that before.
Yeah, it's an incapacitating stab instead of, like, the killing blow.
Yeah.
It's a place where you probably could live through it, but you wouldn't want to because it's, like, pretty close to the lung there. And, I mean, you can see it's painful, and it probably is going to prevent her from calling out to her parents.
Yeah. So the killer climbs on top of her and starts choking her as the parents are kind of parking in this driveway.
Yes.
These rich assholes, Dave. Everyone in this movie's a rich asshole.
They are. They're all
Dave and I
rich
are
kids.
just going to get really cynical about it. I would love to hang out at the house, though.
I mean, they're really nice houses.
The
yes.
wallpaper is great. It's pinnacle 90s.
Oh my God, it is.
Like,
I
this
know.
isn't 80s wallpaper.
Right.
This is a fresh coat of 90s wallpaper.
That's exactly. And that amazing kitchen that Casey's making the Jiffy Pop in. Yeah, it's quite inviting.
Yes. So she's getting choked out, but she kicks him or does something and knocks the killer off of her.
And, like, this is one of my favorite parts of this opening sequence is when the parents get inside and they start realizing that there's something going on because they see the fiery mess in the
There's
kitchen.
smoke from the popcorn.
Right. So then they figure out that the phone is off the hook, and then they realize they can hear something from the receiver, and they can hear Casey, like, struggling, and they don't know where she is.
Yeah.
And it's the idea of, like, as a parent, you know, would be pretty horrifying.
I got chills on this watch.
Yeah.
I probably hadn't seen this movie in 10 years. It's been quite a while.
Right.
And I remember watching it a bunch when I was younger.
Yeah.
But it totally hit me differently this time.
Right.
I know it scared me before, and this time it was just like, holy shit. Like, imagine listening to your child being murdered on the other end of this phone
That's
line.
a new perspective, yes.
Yeah. So they run outside. I think he tells his wife to go find the cops or something, and the dad's going to stay and take care of business, I guess. And she goes outside, and she screams, and we see Casey has been strung up in this tree, disemboweled. And the camera pushes real fast into the body, and you get some pretty nasty gore.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's whatever. I don't remember exactly, like, all the advertising for the movie. I know it probably did play up the meta textual stuff, and it showed you the cast that you were familiar with, but I don't know if it fully prepared me for the level of horror gore that was going to be in the movie. I mean, I knew it was a rated R movie that was like sending up horror films, but I didn't know that we were going to see Drew Barrymore disemboweled hanging from a tree in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
just not prepared for it.
And I mean, that's what this movie is about, right?
Right.
Just keeping you on your toes the whole time.
Yeah.
Because one of the strongest features of the film is you have no clue who's the real killer.
Yes. When I first saw it, I definitely did not see the end coming. And
Yeah.
they do a really good job of hiding everything.
You can even guess it's someone else.
I know.
Throughout the movie.
Yeah.
There's lots of red herrings.
There's lots of, credible red herrings.
Right. They all make sense.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's the best part about this movie.
Yeah, of course.
Is they just pull that off better than almost any other movie I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I really
just as good as Hitchcock.
and that's what I think. That's what I love most about probably the movie is that Wes Craven made a great film regardless of genre. This is just a good movie, and I guess because when you have that much experience in portraying these kinds of events, then you can, on top of that, you know who your influences are, like Hitchcock and everything.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to do something actually serious here. Let's see if I can make this work. And he does. And it's just it all comes together so seamlessly.
Right. And I know he had become kind of jaded with what had happened with the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, because they kind of took that from him.
Right.
And did stuff he was not approving of, and I guess as the genre as a whole, he probably wasn't happy where it was headed.
Right.
So he finally got to do something about it.
Yes, and unfortunately, the Weinsteins tried to take this movie away from him, and thankfully he fought and was able to, wrest it back.
That's good.
Yes. They were giving a lot of notes. They were showing up on set. They were interfering a lot, and he kept them at bay.
That sucks, man.
Right.
At least he got them off their... Yeah. You don't want Weinsteins on you. That's for sure.
It just, when I read about the production, I was like, oh my God, the fucking Harvey Weinstein. I got to think about this asshole again.
Yes.
And then knowing that Rose McGowan was in the film, of course, I mean, this could have been the genesis of that.
Yeah, I forgot about all that.
Yes.
That's right.
Right.
It had to be.
Yep.
And one other thing in the sequence I wanted to talk about was after she gets choked, there's a moment where she's trying to scream out to her parents, but she can't because her voice box has been crushed. She's just like, Mom, Dad.
That's
and the killer just gets up behind her and
I know.
just takes her out.
Yeah.
Oh, man. The parents are right there, and they're 50 feet from her, and she can't scream out to them.
Right.
She's this close to being saved. It's just...
Yeah.
It just really hits you hard.
It's pretty devastating,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, so the movie, hey, it sets up some good stuff, and it keeps delivering.
It does. Do we cut right to Sydney's bedroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Once we do that fast zoom in to
Yes.
unfortunate Drew Barrymore, we cut to Sydney on a computer in her room.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what she's doing on it. She's probably on AOL or something.
Yeah, she probably is on AOL members. Or maybe she's making up the Juked My Chronics website or something.
Yeah. She's got a GeoCities going. She's probably researching Cotton Weary,
That's true.
Her mom's murder and stuff.
Right. Oh my God. Yeah, she probably, if she would have access to the internet at that point.
She would, yeah. Actually, she wouldn't do that because she thinks at this point that she got the right guy, right?
Well, but she wants to make sure he's
she's
actually in
following
prison.
the case.
Yes.
Yeah.
That he's not going to get into appeals and stuff.
She's probably got a Gail Weathers hate fan page.
Probably so. Yes.
But yeah, she's in her bedroom. I think it's the same night.
Yeah.
And we hear a noise outside the window, and in jumps Skeet Ulrich, playing Billy Loomis.
Maybe I haven't lived, but I've never climbed in someone's bedroom window for sex. Or weed, or any other reason.
I'm trying to think. I know I've climbed in and out of windows, but I
Certainly.
don't remember the reasons.
I have climbed in and out of many windows, but never to proposition someone.
I usually just go through the door in those cases.
I mean, yeah.
Wow, I'm trying to think really hard now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we just are both losers, I guess,
I
Dave.
guess,
It's fine. We're not cool.
That's the problem that movies and television have, that the effect it has on people, is that it told me all through childhood, Billy Loomis isn't the first one to do this. I've seen this happen in many other movies. And it just... It promised you that these things were going to happen, and they just didn't.
And it happens on the second story a lot.
I know. Right.
Does this guy just have ladders like in his pocket? Like,
well,
what's going? Does he have a rope with a chain and
there's
hook
usually
on it?
There's usually a tree with branches that extend into the bedroom.
Okay.
Like you've gotten out that far and you like just scaled the branch.
He just like leaps, takes a leap of faith.
I mean, well, there's no.
I'm
leaping.
so horny. I'm gonna leap into this window.
Just gonna squirrel tactics, dude. Yeah.
But anyway, he shows up and she's like, "My dad's gonna kill you. He's gonna kill me. You can't be here." And he's like, "That's fine, whatever. I'm just gonna stand here and disrespect your wishes and just talk to you about how you're not having sex with me."
I know.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And dude, okay. And when I said in the beginning that it's not a perfect film, this is what I was talking about.
Uh-huh.
I like the script. The script, obviously, like Kevin Williamson is an excellent writer.
It's a great script.
It's a great script, but there's dialogue in here that I could do without. And hell, now that I'm old, it's hard for me to watch like teen love scenes in general, but like when they're in the mid-90s accompanied by this type of dialogue that I probably heard at the time and thought that that's how you're supposed to talk to people, I'm doubly ashamed and embarrassed because I was a teenager in 1996.
Yeah.
And I probably heard Skeet Ulrich talk to Nev Campbell in this fashion, making stupid little jokes and comparing everything to like the rating system.
Yeah.
Oh man, I probably thought that was super.
Oh man, that's so cool.
I know.
We started off with a real nice PG-13, then a hard R, and we were on our way to NC-17. But then your mom died and you stopped touching me.
What the fuck?
Yeah, what an asshole.
I mean, and this is like, and in this moment, we're supposed to believe he's the male romantic lead.
Yes. Yeah, we are.
Your mom died and we didn't fuck.
Yeah, yes. We could harp on this for hours,
Whew.
but
yeah.
That's how he comes off here. And he's like, well, she's like, oh, so you thought you'd come in here and then I'd have sex with you? And he's like, well, just maybe a little, just a little stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
She's like, okay, on the clothes. And he's like, okay. He like, his eyes get all like wide. He's like, oh yeah, okay, yes. Like a puppy, you know? Like, I'm going to get a treat, yes. You know?
Well, and unfortunately, 17-year-old boys, that is how you react at the promise of, you know, of this.
So they start making out with like some really cool 90s music playing. And like I really like the music in this movie.
Yeah,
Dave.
of course.
Do you like it? It's like a post-grunge kind of, but it's pre-Third Eye Blind, you know?
There you go.
Yeah.
That's kind of a sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like late Bush. Well, I guess late Bush would be like turn of millennium stuff,
Yeah,
but
this is early Bush, I guess.
Earlier,
now that I think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's good stuff. So her dad comes to the door and he has to hide or whatever.
Yeah.
And apparently he's going out of town. The dad is going out of town and she's staying home alone. And he suspects someone's here and he just leaves.
He doesn't investigate.
Yeah. Because she says, no, Dad.
He's hiding behind the bed, right?
Yeah.
You'd
he's
smell
on the
him.
floor.
You'd smell him.
Smell him.
You would.
I mean, he had to climb that tree, right?
Yes.
He's got to be sweating.
He smells like a man who's been outside.
He smells like a guy who's been making out with my daughter.
And that, too. I mean,
his hormones are in the air.
I think by 1996, Sex and Candy had been released, so we all knew about, like, you know, the stank in the room.
Marcy's Playground told you what was going on. I guess he didn't listen to that song.
Probably not, yeah.
So he leaves, and then Billy has to go out the window because she's like, all right, we're done. My dad came. We can't do anymore.
Right.
So she flashes him, and he's like, why do you do this to me?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, yeah, why did you do that to him? I understand her sentiment, but like, dude, you're torturing this guy.
Yeah.
I know he's kind of in the wrong for behaving and saying these things.
Right.
But you shouldn't do that.
Well, if, yeah, it's the wrong move in general. Yeah. Because it is promising that, like, okay, you know, here's what's coming. You know,
here's what's not coming.
Oh, there's that too. Right?
Here's what you're not getting.
Yeah, that's true. Right. It definitely wasn't the best move.
Okay, so we cut to the next day at school, and the news is out that Casey has been murdered. And we get a whole, like, replay of what's going on from Tatum, who is played by Rose McGowan.
Yes.
She's Sydney's best friend. And Sydney played by Nev Campbell,
How did we not mention that Nev Campbell, of course, is Sydney?
I don't know.
Yes.
Because we're talking about the voice guy.
Probably. We went on and on about Roger Jackson, the storied career of Roger Jackson.
Yeah. Anyway, so we get a recap of what's going on, what the whole vibe of the school is, and the whole town's talking about it and all this stuff. It's a madhouse.
Yes, and one of their classmates not only died, but like had a horrific death, and the word spreads, and they also are all very familiar with Sydney's situation. All the other students, they know that her mom was murdered, raped and murdered apparently by Cotton Weary. And they also know that Gail Weathers, the local reporter, like a hard copy type reporter, played by Courtney Cox, they're all familiar with her work, and they all know about her relationship to Sydney, and that Sydney doesn't like her because, you know, there was a hatchet job done on the story about her mom. Mm-hmm. And also Gail is writing a tell-all book that's unauthorized by Sidney Prescott. Yeah,
so Gail is there asking questions, and I mean, it's just a madhouse, right? We see more of their interaction later on, but do they interact here at all? I can't remember.
I don't know
why.
It's later. I don't know why I can't remember when the punch happens.
There's a few scenes at the school with them, and then there's the punch is at the police station.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
which is awesome. I love the next scene. Like Rose McGowan's just like, "Bam, bitch went down." I love it. Sydney, super bitch. I love it.
Yeah, in this one, it's just like Sydney telling Gail to fuck off.
Yeah. So, we also meet Henry Winkler, who's the principal.
Yep.
And
Mr. Hembry.
He's here. Fonzie is here, everybody. He's the principal of the school. And after school, we get a scene of the gang hanging out. And this is like the first super 90s hangout scene of the movie. They're all hanging out in front. Where are they? Near a fountain? Or like a park bench?
Rich kids' schools had this quad area where you could gather. And
is this the Friends fountain?
Pretty much, yes. It's an impressive set that only you'd be in it if you were in this type of movie.
Yeah. But I like this scene because the gang of friends are all hanging out, right? Mm-hmm. It's like Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard is there. He plays Stu. And this movie made him a star. I'll tell you that much.
Yes, it did. And I mean, that was one cool thing about like revisiting this movie. Everybody in here, I've been a fan of all their stuff, but Matthew Lillard, guys, you know what's weird? It's gonna sound weird coming from me anyway. Go check out Scooby-Doo from like 2000.
For real,
Matthew Lillard rules.
He's amazing.
He's just
Shaggy.
So good.
Honestly, that whole cast is amazing.
I know they're all really good.
That movie, it's a kids movie, right?
Yeah.
But they've got a lot of adult stuff in that too.
Yeah.
The Scooby-Doo is actually pretty good, dude.
Yep, not bad at all. It's a good time, and it's just one of the most charming performances in any movie I can think of. Is just like Matthew Lillard, who was like born to play Shaggy. Just like looking at this CGI what's it and going, hey boy, how's it going?
Yeah, Jar Jar Doo.
Yeah. That's right, dude. But yeah, Matthew Lillard here is like, he's playing Stu, and Stu is, he's just all elbows and limbs and.
Oh man, yeah. He's lanky and mouthy.
Yes, that's right. He never stops.
He just talks and talks and doesn't think before he speaks.
Not really,
and,
yeah.
I have a feeling he thinks he's hot shit.
Yes. He's dating Tatum, so that's part of it.
I mean, you got to be hot shit to date Rose McGowan, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was...
I was extremely jealous. I wanted to be Matthew Lillard for many reasons.
I know.
I thought he was really cool in this movie.
Oh, I thought he was too. And I mean, I loved his clothes. And there is one thing...
Those sweaters are great.
I know. Jamie Kennedy is also here.
Yeah.
As Randy.
Yeah.
And now, he's wearing a Fresh Jive shirt. Which, this marks the second time in the last year that this awesome clothing brand was featured in a movie that we talked about. The first was Encino Man. I only wish it had been worn by one of the better people instead of Randy.
Oh, okay.
It would have been cool if Stu was wearing the Fresh Jive.
Okay.
But that's my only complaint.
That's all right. Well, what do you think about Randy overall in the movie?
Man, okay. Well, unfortunately for all of us, Randy is essentially like one of the world's first podcasters. It's so goddamn hard to watch this guy.
It was frightening how familiar he felt to me.
Dude, it's like looking in a mirror and then seeing you had wing sauce on your face for the last half hour. I hate him so much, and I know I'm him.
Exactly,
sucks.
right? Like,
yes.
I am Randy. I hopefully not to this extreme, though. I mean, but...
Yeah.
He's quite annoying in the movie. I will say, though, I do like the character, and I do like the performance. I think the character needs to be this way.
Yes, I agree. And Jamie Kennedy, you're right, does a good job with the role.
Yeah. He's the annoying friend
Yeah.
who works at the video store who's obsessed with movies. So he's me and Dave.
I mean, yeah, it's just like a classic fifth wheel who's just always around
Oh my God.
with like comments and smartassery.
Yeah. And I like how he holds his own, though. Like he feels like he fits in with the group, but he is the fifth wheel, that's for sure.
Yes.
Because the other two are couples.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
The other four, I guess, they're couples. So yeah, they're all here talking at the fountain about what happened and the rumors, like I heard she was gutted. I heard they played with her like just whatever, just all these crazy rumors going around the school.
Right.
And they're being very insensitive about it.
Yes, they are.
Especially Stu and Randy.
Yes. And that's the thing is that like Billy is trying to be as cool as he can be. And I think that like that's a cool part of the character is that he could be, even though him and Stu are best pals and everything, like he doesn't act like Stu at all.
Yeah.
And it's good for both like the character as Sydney and Tatum know them now and for what we will learn later.
Yeah. Yeah. Which if you haven't watched this movie, I guess we'll eventually tell you the spoiler.
Sure.
Well, let's keep it secret for now.
Yeah, why not? Because everybody listening, you've probably seen this movie, so even though we're being coy, let's all pretend that we don't know.
Yeah. No, fuck it, Dave. We have to say it,
Yeah, sure.
Because I think it's cool to see the moments.
Oh, you want to reveal it now?
We can reveal it now.
Okay.
Because I think it's cool to talk about certain moments leading up to the reveal, that we see from these people.
And when you've seen the movie, it everybody's performance feels different when you watch it with that knowledge.
Right. And I still don't think it gives away who the killer is.
Oh, no.
But you can see it differently. Be like, oh, so that's kind of why they might have behaved that way,
Yes.
Yeah.
So the killers, everybody, are Billy and Stu.
They are the Ghostface Killer.
Right.
They tag team this shit, I guess.
Yes, and it's like and it explains a lot when you go back through and like look at how did the killer appear here if it was like Sydney saw him there, and it's like we know why, because it's two people.
And we talked about the red herrings being excellent in this.
Yeah.
That really helps,
Right.
Billy's in jail. Well, the ghost face is over there. Can't be him. Oh, wait, it turned out to be him. How'd that work? And then
Yes.
you just, Stu was doing it too.
Yep.
But Stu was over there. Well, that's why Billy did that,
Right.
Like, I know there's like, I don't know if it's a YouTube video or a paper or a website. Or, I know I've read before, like, people have mapped out who's doing what kills and stuff and, like, explained it all.
You
They've
can do
mapped
it. You can do it while you watch the movie too. Like for the most part, like there's, because I mean, especially if you've seen it a million times and you just want to like enjoy yourself, like seeing where was Billy and where was Stu, and it is like there are a couple of kills that you can't really explain, just without building that diagram. When you're just like looking at your ice cream, you can't really figure it out.
Yeah,
but
one I can't explain off the top of my head is Henry Winkler. Like who kills him, I don't know.
Yeah, that one.
Or how or why it even happens. It just kind of does.
Why Mr. Himbry died?
Yeah.
Well, the motivation for killing the principal, you're right. That is weird.
I guess that's one thing about the movie is, why did they kill Casey in the first place? Why, if the whole thing is revenge for Sydney's quote-unquote whore mother, they're going to kill Sydney and frame it on the dad and all this other stuff.
Right.
Why all the collateral damage? I can see killing Tatum because she's there and the best friend at the party and stuff, but they killed the principal for fun, I guess. Yeah.
Well, maybe when they were making the plan to get Sydney, they realized that they were psychos themselves and we need to practice. I
think Stu says at one point, like, it just felt so good or something like that. He says something crazy like that at the end. So But yeah, they do reveal they're pretty crazy.
Yes, that's true.
And they
It does.
like it.
Yes, right.
So I guess that makes sense.
Right.
But yeah, Sydney is here and she's very upset about the way this conversation's going, and so
Right.
she leaves. And I mean, Tatum is very supportive of her too. She's always telling Stu to like shut the hell up.
Yeah, right.
Like, can't you like read the situation? You know?
And I mean, imagine if your boyfriend was doing that, like
Yeah.
was behaving that way, and he's got his arm all over you and everything, and
Yeah.
he's just like being real
Total
handsy.
obnoxious.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would really suck.
Yeah. So we get Sydney. She takes the school bus home, which I thought was a little odd.
Yeah.
Because it's like 25-year-old Nev Campbell getting off this bus. I expected like kindergartners to get off. And, like, But anyway, she goes home from school. Wouldn't she be in a car? Like, wouldn't Tatum drop her off in her VW?
Probably so, yes. Yeah, she wouldn't have taken the bus. Yeah.
But anyway, she's home. Dad is gone on business now. She's home alone. She watches a newscast, and this is where we find out more about Sydney's mom and like what happened. Gail Weathers is like doing a report or something. They're talking about how Cotton Weary, the guy who was convicted of murdering her mother, is going to be executed soon or something like that.
Right.
And it all happened a year ago. So we get all this backstory that we need.
Yes.
She falls asleep on the couch and wakes up, and she gets a phone call from the same voice we heard at the beginning of the movie. He's asking her the same questions, like, what's your favorite scary movie? And she immediately thinks it's Randy playing a prank on her.
Yes.
Because they're talking about movies. And, you know, that's what Jamie Kennedy does in this movie.
And I mean, okay, she thinks it's Randy, and she starts to, like, you know, kind of humor him a little bit. She even says, like, oh, that's a pretty sexy voice you got there, Randy, you know? And I don't know, just like Casey, why she stays on the line. I know it's a movie, and that's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this guy obviously is... Best case scenario, he's jacking off. Worst case, he's going to...
Philip Seymour Hoffman on the other end.
Pretty much, yes, exactly. Worst case, he's going to kill you.
Yeah.
So, I just put the phone down and, like, oh, man.
Yeah, but she thinks it's Randy. He's one of her best friends. So,
But she also knows what happened to Casey just last night, right?
yeah, but I don't think they know about the phone calls. Do
They didn't. Okay.
Maybe they talked. I mean,
I could have missed.
I guess
that.
only the police would know about that.
Right.
And at this point, I don't think they would. Yeah, they wouldn't know. But still, she keeps talking to him, and she says something that's like the famous trailer line, like,
Yeah.
"Why would I watch a horror movie? It's just some big-chested idiot running upstairs when she should be going out the front door."
Right. It's
And-
insulting.
And that's the bit we talked about earlier, where
Yeah.
she has to escape now, and she has to run up the stairs.
Right, because Ghostface invades the house.
Yeah, and he
Yep.
attacks her.
Right.
I think she like knocks him out or something. The killer is very clumsy. I keep saying that.
Yes,
right. Like,
right.
He's getting subdued pretty easily. Which I think it makes sense once you know kind of who it is.
Yeah.
It's these teenagers who don't know what they're doing, and they're in that costume and can't see out the mask.
Well, yeah.
It would be difficult.
And I mean, and we won't do this for every time that Ghostface comes on screen, but I think in this moment, obviously, this is Stu is the one doing the attacking.
Yeah.
And I think though that like about being easily overcome, yeah, he is. I guess he's a kid,
Yeah.
and even though he's like young and strong, like so is Sydney. So,
Yeah.
so I guess if she kicks him hard enough,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
you know, she even I think at one point like gets him real good in the chest, like with the heel.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a good shot.
Yeah, I do like it though. I do
Yeah.
like how you can do this to just a normal person.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
It's not like Jason who's coming at you and
Yeah.
will always be coming at you.
And he has powers.
yeah. This guy has no powers.
Right.
He's just a dumb idiot high school kid
That's right.
with a knife.
Yes. But yeah, he chases her upstairs and you know, like she's trying to get away from him and she like earlier when she had the conversation with her dad, we can see that like her closet door, like when you open it and then the bedroom door together, they kind of like make this you know,
Yeah,
barrier.
like it blocks it from opening.
Yes.
So it can't open anymore.
Right.
It's a classic kid trick. you
Sure,
know?
right.
You see it in Nickelodeon all the time.
Yeah, a lot of Pete and Pete going on, right.
Yeah, dude. So the killer's up there with his like arm through the door trying
Yep.
to like slash her and stuff. And he ultimately leaves. I forget why he leaves. Oh, because she calls 911 from her computer.
From her personal computer in her bedroom.
In 1996.
She gets on that Tandy and just starts typing 911.
Could you do this back then?
I don't know.
I imagine you could, but what teenager knew how to do this?
I guess a teenager who was like truly who really embraced computer technology, I guess.
I guess she did, because she was just in her room hanging out on the computer the whole time when Billy came over. She'd rather surf the net than, bang her boyfriend.
I mean, yeah, if you have the net, that's better than a boyfriend.
Dude, the internet
in
can give you everything you need. Well, in 96, it might take a couple hours to download it.
That's true, right?
The 56K modem. Nothing was sexier than that.
I mean, dude, yes. You could not fit a podcast on a computer back then. Like, one of our shows wouldn't fit on your hard drive.
We'd break that computer in half.
That's so nuts.
And now you can stream it out of midair.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Wow.
Pretty soon will be implanted into everyone's brain, and
I
don't
want,
even have to do anything.
I want technology to stop where it is right now.
I've always told Dave, just plug me in. I'm ready.
I know.
Just plug it in.
So many debates and arguments about this.
If I could watch all the movies at the same time, there you go. I could achieve my goals.
That would be one benefit to it, but it's much better to come by it honestly.
That's true.
Instead of just uploading all this stuff into your brain.
No hack for it,
Right.
Yeah. So I couldn't watch all the Scream movies at the same time.
You'd have no sense memory of it. You just have knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. It's like the difference between fandom and criticism.
Yeah, so exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So she calls the cops from Instant Messenger, and the killer leaves. I guess, I don't know why, he just leaves.
Yeah,
I don't remember why, at least.
Right. He kind of like gives up the chase, and then there's like a more noise at the window, and it's Billy.
Yeah.
And he's there, and she, oh my God, Billy, come in. And, she's like really scared. She thinks he's here to like help out with
right.
Keeping her, their safety in numbers now.
Right.
But he drops something.
Yeah. Everybody, a cell phone.
Jeez, man. And when we cut to the police station, this is another thing I want to say to somebody one day. What are you doing with a cellular telephone, son?
Everybody has them. Yeah, and when that cell phone falls out of his jacket in the bedroom, it's like slow-mo and like hits the ground like boom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
there's a couple of bounces.
Oh, my God, what a reveal.
And it is. It's a hell of a reveal because, in that moment, it's like it's the first red herring, but it's the actual killer.
You know what? If a kid today watched this, they would be like, "What is that?" Because it looks nothing like a modern cell phone.
That's true. There really is, though. There's no screen on it. It's not a smartphone.
That's the Neanderthal cell phone.
Yeah. It's the one they've heard about.
And then later, when Gail has the one in the TV van, it's like that Gordon Gekko one.
That brick?
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Man, what a time.
I know. They cost $10,000 and they cost $5 a minute.
Yeah. Get me the cellular, she yells.
Get me the cellular.
Get me the cellular.
Jeez, man.
That's one I need to start saying. That makes no sense in today's world, right?
You can't use that phrase today. No one would know what you were talking about.
Oh my God, dude. Anyway, so they're at the police station and they're questioning Billy.
Yes.
And they lock him up for the night because they have to run the records to see, where the phone was, what calls there were and stuff like that. So, yeah. And we get introduced to Dewey here, I think.
Yes, we do.
Maybe even before this, but you get to see him here for sure.
Yeah, Dewey was around the school earlier, I remember, because, we got to know that, that he's Tatum's older brother and he's one of the sheriff's deputies.
Yeah, Deputy Dewey, played by David Arquette.
Right.
He's friends with Sydney and everyone. You can tell he's brand new, fresh on the force.
Yes, he's probably 25 years old or whatever, and I guess that's revealed later. He's 25 years old and he's just fresh-faced out of the academy.
Yep, so no one really treats him with a lot of respect.
Right, he's taking his job very seriously, but they still treat him like the rookie.
Yeah, and so does Tatum.
Yeah.
She treats him Just a dumb brother.
Yep.
Even when he's in uniform.
Yep. Get out of my room, essentially.
Yeah. So I think she calls him Deputy Dewey Boy.
Yes.
Yeah, in front of everyone.
And it's like when he's standing there, like doing police business on one hand, and then he turns to her and he's like, well, does Mom know?
Yeah.
It's this thing because
he kind of has it coming.
He does,
Yeah.
yes. Because he still lives at home, too.
So Sydney goes and stays at Tatum's house this night because she doesn't want to stay at home by herself where she was just attacked.
Yes.
So she stays there. Dewey is there. He can protect the family, I guess.
Sure, right.
And with Billy in jail, they feel safe.
Yeah.
And while they're there, they get a phone call, and it's the voice. You think Billy did it?
Right.
So this puts him off the suspect list.
Yes, because everyone thinks there's one killer, so they've got who they think is the killer in custody. But yeah, this guy makes a call, and they have to now contend with it's now a mystery.
Yeah. So, all right, well, who is the killer?
Yes.
Who really is this? And I love the scene after they hang up. Dewey comes in, and he's like in like his sleeping wear, and he grabs the phone, and he's like, hello? I don't know why, but I find it so funny. Because he's like just kind of late to the action.
Oh, yeah, right.
But he's still trying to be a police officer.
Because like Sydney and Tatum had already gotten scared and like left the scene.
Yeah.
And then he comes in right at the end, and he's in his underwear
Gun drawn.
with a gun. And he just picks up the phone and says hello. And also, David Arquette is very funny in this movie.
He is. He's very funny.
Yeah.
There's a scene later when he's eating an ice cream cone while the sheriff is having a smoke.
Yes.
And like as the sheriff takes a drag, he takes a lick like at the same time, and it happens like 4 or 5 times. It's like, well, what do you think about this case? Well, I don't know. This is going on. I don't have a good feeling. It just goes on for a minute.
It's his cool guy cop affectation, but it's an ice cream cone.
Yeah.
It's
It's a little kid ice cream cone. I love it, dude. But yeah, I guess we go to school again.
Yes, and a ghost face is running through the halls.
Oh, man.
2 of them, actually.
Yeah, some very wise students.
I mean, dude, okay. And they eventually, we go into the office with Mr. Himbry, and, like, he expels them. And they're credited in the credits as expelled teen 1 and 2. And they're even at Stu's party later.
I know, yeah.
Which is fun. But, like, Mr. Himbry is correct in his assessment of this disgusting generation.
You're both expelled.
Exactly.
Get the hell out of here.
Yes. Dude, and I mean, I'm sure that in the 1960s, there were probably tasteless comedians that would joke about tragedies too soon after they occurred.
Yeah.
But trust me when I tell you, everybody, that dirty teens in the mid-90s perfected this practice. I was there. I was one of them. I had friends who acted like this. We had a fellow student die at our high school, and there were jerks who were joking about it the next day.
Yes, it happens.
Yes.
In my generation, we were being very insensitive about a lot of things.
Yes.
And it was quite awful.
Right.
And no one should be like that. So if anyone takes anything from this podcast, don't be a dick.
That's right.
Be understanding.
I mean, like, no one will be impressed. They will only look at you as the absolute dirt worst person 30 years from now.
If anyone thinks it's funny, they're just as horrible as you.
I know.
99% of the people there will not be laughing at you.
Right.
So don't do it.
Yep.
You'll get expelled by the Fonz. It'll happen, man.
We should be so lucky, dude, being
Dude,
expelled by the Fonz.
I would love if the Fonz expelled me.
I mean, yes.
But yeah, what else happens at the school today? I mean, there's a lot of school in this movie.
There is some school, yeah. We see Freddy Krueger in the hall.
Oh, yeah, that might be...
It's
that's
a little,
some point
it's
here,
a little later, yeah. But
that's when the Fonz dies.
Yes.
She bumps into Billy. Billy gets out of jail and comes to school the next day.
I know. Because she runs away in terror and bumps into him in the hall. And Billy gets to be kind of a real shit here because, like, he has this advantage of knowing that, like, Casey mistakenly, quite understandably thought that he was the killer.
Yeah. Sydney, you mean?
Sorry, yeah. What did I say?
Casey.
Sorry, yeah. But yeah, he has this advantage, I guess, in the moment, and he's taking advantage by, like, playing up the sympathy.
Yeah.
And she eventually, like, extricates herself from the situation because, she can't just take up with Billy right this moment.
He gets insensitive again.
Yes.
He's like, I just think it's been a year since your mom died. I think it's about time you get over it.
I can't believe he just full on says that.
I want
shit.
my girlfriend back.
Right.
And she like looks at him like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
She says, sorry, my trauma is an inconvenience for you. Excellent line, Sydney.
I mean, yes, and I can't believe I forgot that he brought this up, because when I said that, she just walks away. No, there was a reason she walked away. It's because he's an asshole.
Because the conversation starts out on a good foot,
yes.
right? Because he's like, well, do you think I'm the killer still? She's like, no, I don't. And I'm sorry that I thought that, but what else would I think, And then he's like, yeah, I totally get it. Your mom died. Get over it. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. So she runs into the bathroom and hears some two
Mean girls.
popular girls
Yeah.
putting makeup on and talking about Sydney and her mom and all this shit.
Right.
While she's hiding in the stall.
Yeah.
Classic mean girl stuff.
Yes. And yeah, they're talking about the case and everything, and they're saying bad stuff about her, and of course she feels horrible about it. And when they leave, Sydney comes out and she hears some noises.
Yeah. And then she looks under the stalls for feet, and down come a pair of boots, and down comes the Halloween costume over it.
Yeah.
So Ghostface is in this stall, and he jumps out, tries to attack her, and she escapes.
Yes.
And that's it.
Right.
I don't get this scene at all.
I don't know why.
Was it real?
I don't know why it didn't lead to police action that day.
Yeah.
Why didn't she?
Why didn't she run out and yell, he's right
Yes,
there.
he's in this building right now. Call the cops, and they'll surround the place, and we'll get him.
No,
it doesn't happen. Just party at Stu's, man.
Yeah. School's out for summer, Dave.
It's just so nuts, man. Stu was in this bathroom right then, and he does a quick change after he's unsuccessful in the kill.
Man.
And also, he was going to kill Sydney at school.
I guess, that's one problem I have with the movie is, what is their end game, kind of?
Yeah.
Because they do reveal the motive and everything
Yeah.
later in the plan, and it makes sense from their perspective, why they would want to do it. But there's all these, interstitial, almost kills that happen
right
up to that moment. So I don't know if they're just trying to scare her, or if they're just failing at killing her.
I think they're failing at killing her.
I agree. That's how I feel it is.
Yeah.
But why is it here?
I don't know.
It doesn't fall in line with their plan.
No, because if they kill Sydney right here in the ladies' room, then I guess they're done, right?
Right, because the whole plan is they're blaming it on her father.
Yeah.
Who couldn't handle it. A year later, he went crazy, killed his daughter, killed himself.
Yeah.
That's how they're going to, frame everything.
Right.
But if they do this, get killed in the women's restroom at high school, that's not good.
No, the father thing is out the door.
Dad's not even there, right?
Right.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Unless they could pin it on Mr. Hembry or something, and maybe they kill him too.
Yeah. I guess for a second you could think maybe he was the killer. I don't know. But.
Well, they do set him up as a red herring, because when we cut to his office, he is standing in front of the mirror, trying on the Ghostface mask.
Yeah.
And he's kind of having a good time doing it. And that's when he sees Freddy Krueger in the hall, which
Yeah.
is just Wes Craven in costume.
Yeah, he hears some noise or something, so he looks out in the hall and he's like, "You little shit!" And he goes, "What'd you call me?"
Yep.
Oh, not you, Fred.
Not you, Fred.
It's the janitor, and he's wearing the Freddy Krueger sweater.
Yes, and the hat.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And it's Wes Craven dressed up.
Right.
He's got that mop. Not you, Fred.
But he goes back into his office, and he ends up getting killed by Ghostface.
Yeah, he's behind the door.
Yes, and this was one part I like Henry Winkler's slasher death acting. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
He just kind of goes, oh! It reminds me of his work in Arrested Development. This is a Barry Zuckerkorn death.
I can barely remember him in that.
Oh yeah, he's very funny. He's their lawyer who's really incompetent.
That's right. Yes. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
But yeah, he just screams loud, and it's great that it happens right after he's presented as the first red herring.
Yeah. So, but he's not.
Right.
I guess Stu killed him, maybe.
Yeah.
Or Billy. I don't know who. Stu was in the school. We're saying it's Stu. We don't know 100%, but we're assuming it was Stu because Billy was just in the hallway.
And whenever I see the killer is way taller than everybody, I always assume that it's Stu.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Matthew Lillard is 6'6".
He's a giant.
He's huge.
He's 6'6", 100 pounds.
I know.
Like, he's so skinny.
God, man.
But he's like skinny and kind of ripped too. He's that skinny ripped.
Yeah, because when you're that thin, yeah, if he took his shirt off, it would be impressive.
Yeah, he doesn't have like giant guns or anything.
Right.
But he's got a physique.
Of course,
that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we cut to the video store where Randy is working.
Man,
and this place is packed, man.
I know.
I wanted to be in this store so bad.
Right. It looks like a converted Blockbuster.
It probably was.
And that's my only complaint with it, is that it looks like a Blockbuster. I wish that it had been more of a mom and pop type place.
Yeah, a little nastier.
Yes,
Yeah.
it should be like the one that Randall works in.
Yeah.
And instead we got this like definitely corporate area, and they walk over to Randy, and he's shelving everything, and he's like giving people telling people where stuff is, and he knows the whole layout of the store, and he knows all trivia about the movies. God, this is depressing.
Yeah.
I'm just
You're talking about
yes,
yourself.
I'm talking about myself. And the Billy and Stu, they come over and they start giving him
Well,
shit.
Stu is there. Billy's separately there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because Stu's talking to Randy like, "Oh, what do you think? What do you think's going on, man?" And he's like, Randy has all his theories, right? Like the police are just bungling the whole situation.
Right.
It's obviously Billy. They just need to watch Prom Night, and they'll save time. And he kind of screams that really loud.
Yes.
And everyone stops and looks at him then. But Billy's there, like in the corner, like flirting with a couple chicks.
Yes.
Right after being arrested for potentially attempted murder.
I mean, yeah, and that news must have gotten out that
Yeah.
even though he was proved innocent, like there's still doubt, of course, whenever someone is just let out. I mean, he could still be a killer. Who knows?
Right, and he's just acting so strangely for the
Right.
situation. Like,
Yes.
and when he comes up and approaches them, he's like really weird, Like he's acting very suspiciously.
Yes.
And almost like threatening them.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's trying to give
Or at least
himself
threatening
away.
Randy.
He's threatening Randy. Yeah, like Stu is just standing there, like kind of enjoying everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're trying to intimidate Randy for some reason, and Randy had also made it known that he hopes that this thing with Billy goes south because he's always had his eye on Sydney.
Oh my God, I forgot about this.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, and it continues through the next two films.
He's tired of being friend zoned, man.
God damn it.
Yeah. The good old friend zone.
Yeah.
One of the worst terminologies in the world.
Yeah.
This incel bastard.
Yes, all getting friend zoned by Chads.
Yeah. I mean, it's the girl's fault.
Man,
Yeah.
I'm being denied sex.
Yeah.
That
bitch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm entitled to this woman's body.
Oh my God.
Right.
Oh God, Randy sucks.
Yeah, Randy sucks.
Randy sucks.
Right. And that
He knows
is
a lot about movies,
yes,
but he sucks.
And that's the diversion, of course, between Randy and us. We are not that. That is not us. We,
Yes.
didn't ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was not our life.
But I think Billy hates Randy because Randy keeps saying, "It's Billy. Come
Yeah.
on." He has no evidence. He's just assuming it's Billy, really.
Right.
So, yeah, that's, man. But in this scene, they also talk a lot about potential killers. Like, I think it's her father. I think it's Billy.
Yeah.
It could have been this guy. Who knows? It could have been you. It wasn't me.
Right.
It could have been you. That's what Billy says to him. Like, well, you're the horror-obsessed movie fanatic. Like, you're the perfect suspect. And Randy even admits, oh, yeah, I would be the perfect suspect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so this scene sets up, well, who is it really? Like,
Yeah.
They give the audience options to think about.
Which is a cool move, and it's delivered well, and it's a funny scene too that way, because
Yeah.
it's also in addition to characters acting this way, we as an audience never got to act this way. Like we would maybe have these conversations with ourselves when we were watching the previous films, but we never got to participate in an activity with the characters like this, where we're going, oh yeah, who is it? Is it Randy? Is it Billy? Blah blah blah.
Right, and they're literally saying, well, it's not me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a cool thing.
It's awesome. So before the principal was murdered, he announced that school is suspended until further notice.
Yeah.
So now Stu is going to have a huge party.
Right.
Which it isn't huge, actually. It's quite tame. Like, there might be 12 people there.
I mean, yeah,
It looks like a good party.
It looks like kind of an ideal party.
Yeah,
because
like,
it's
I
not
don't
that
want a
rager.
rager.
No,
Yeah.
I man, that was always
And
really
they're watching
intimidating.
Halloween.
Yeah.
and- oh man.
It looks like
They've got chips.
yeah, I mean, yes.
Rose McGowan brought chips. This is the party.
This is a place to be, right? Yes. And it's a shame though that Randy referenced Prom Night.
Yeah.
I found that movie very boring when I first time I saw it.
Yes, I remember you saying that.
Yes. Prom Night 2, however, that's a great film.
Jamie Lee's not in that one, though.
She is not. Right.
Okay.
And, obviously Prom Night is there because of Jamie Lee Curtis, and it's a classic because of that, and all of her amazing hairstyles in the movie and disco dancing, but it's not a good film.
Yeah. So they're talking about Prom Night a lot. They talk about Jamie Lee Curtis a whole lot.
They do, yeah.
They're watching Halloween.
Right.
There's the whole scene where Randy explains the 3 rules of horror movies and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was a big trailer moment, right?
Right. And, like, it's kind of a centerpiece of the movie almost, is this guy giving, not exposition, he's just like taking a moment to entertain his friends with his movie knowledge, but also give us, the audience, some background and foundation for what's to come.
Like explaining these tropes that have been overused.
Right.
And, I mean, they're the tropes for a reason. And he's talking about how you survive a horror film.
Yeah.
1, never have sex. 2, never drink or do drugs. And 3, never say I'll be right back.
Right.
And everyone's kind of joking and laughing about all this stuff. And there's a lot of good jokes in the scene.
Yeah.
And I love how everyone's kind of... Randy is very serious about it. And everyone's kind of like teasing him almost.
Yeah.
But there's... I'm sure they're all friends with him. But they know this is how Randy is. So
Yeah.
we're going to poke fun at him.
They appreciate his wit and his knowledge of everything, but yeah, they're also kind of the one guy. Somebody right away goes, "I'll be right back."
Oh yeah, after he says, "Never say I'll be right back." Stu says, "I'm going to the fridge to get a beer. You want one?"
Right.
And he goes, "Yeah, sure. I'll be right back." And then everyone goes,
right.
"Oh!" Yeah. Mic drop moment. Yeah. So the party is happening.
Yeah.
And Gail Weathers shows up to the party in her news van. I guess she knows something's up.
Yeah.
Right? Or she has a hunch, like, I'm going to come here and follow Sydney around.
Yes, and we skipped over when they were at the police station, and she was like essentially just like hanging out outside when Tatum and Sydney were in the station.
They're trying to escape, yeah.
Yes, and like Dewey had taken them out the back way so that they wouldn't like face the media, but Gail knew this and came around the back. And, like Sydney pretends that she's going to give the interview, but instead she just actually hits her right in the face.
Yeah. And that's when Tatum's like, super bitch.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because she's like talking about the book. She's like, oh, yeah, don't worry, Tatum. It's okay. She's just doing her job. How's the book? And Gail thinks she's actually being kind.
Right.
She's like, oh, well, it comes out next month, I'll send you a copy. And then she punches her right in the face.
Yes.
Pretty good.
And throughout all this, too, every time Dewey and Gail interact, there's like an obvious attraction there.
Yeah. There's some flirtation.
Yeah.
And Gail kind of instigate it.
Yeah.
As like a method of infiltrating the investigation.
Sure.
But you can also see she does kind of like this guy.
Yes,
because it's charming David Arquette.
Yes, and it's like the chemistry is undeniable between both the two actors and the two characters.
There's a reason they got married in real life.
It's like coming right off the screen. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, every time they bump into each other, it's just like, oh man, the sparks are flying.
Exactly. Here we go.
It's a little will they, won't they every time.
Yeah. Won't they, will.
And I'm just waiting for Dewey to kind of like do something stupid, but he just plays it so cool.
He says the right thing every time. God, yeah. Man. He's really smooth with. He's not even trying to be smooth. He just is naturally smooth because he's like, oh, I like this woman, and I'm going to be a perfect gentleman around her.
Right, yeah. He's just great.
Right.
He's not getting friend-zoned it on this one, Dave. That's for sure.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
So Dewey shows up at the party, too, because he's got to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Because his sister's there, Sydney's there. He wants to make sure everything's okay. So he's there, and he sees Gail's there, and they talk, and, Gail wants to get into the party and kind of asks if she can be his date. And he's like, he might as well just blush and be like, okay.
Yeah,
sure,
I mean,
okay.
pretty much.
Yeah, but he agrees and is like, okay, sure. And he brings her into the party. And Tatum, rightfully so, is like, Dewey, why the fuck did you bring her in here? And he's like, it's Gale Weathers.
Yeah.
You know?
Uh-huh.
All excited.
And like, he's also a cop. So
I know,
you know,
right?
like Tatum is probably pissed off that he's there, you know, embarrassing her.
Yeah.
Not only as her older brother, but also, you know, the law. And he also brings in an investigative reporter.
Yes. But everyone seems excited that she is there, right?
Because they all know her.
They know her from the TV. They all think she's hot.
Of course.
So they're all like, oh, Gale's here. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yes.
So there's a celebrity here.
And she even like, she knows from the reports she's gotten who she appeals to the most, which is like young men 18 to 24.
Yeah, 18 to 24. And Dewey says, well, I was 24 for a whole year.
Yes,
you know?
that's right.
That's one of his smooth lines,
Uh-huh.
you know. But what they don't know is that she was handed like a portable camera.
Yeah.
A remote camera from her
the
van
news
driver,
van.
cameraman guy. I think his
W.
name's
Earl Brown.
Kenny.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So she plants it like by the VCR, and it's watching the living room.
Yes.
So they've got to, I guess they can see what's happening in the building.
Yeah, and it's perfectly placed so that she can like see the pretty much the whole living room area.
Yeah. So she and Dewey leave
Yeah.
after this because there's no reason to stay, I guess. Does Tatum make him leave?
I don't remember
She
exactly
might.
how, but like, yeah, it probably is just, hey, get out of here.
Yeah, I love it too because he walks in, there's a guy with a beer, and he's like, you better put that down or I'll
Yeah.
bust you. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes. Right. Yeah. But then like they're walking around the grounds essentially, like around the property. They're going for this walk together.
Oh, yeah, there's a car like in the woods or
Yes.
something, so they have to
Yes.
investigate it.
Right.
So he asked Gale to go with him, and she thinks they're going to drive, and he's like, well, I thought we'd walk, you know, it's real
Uh-huh.
nice out. Oh, man, this is a date.
Yes, of course. Right. He knows what he's doing.
But when they do walk down there, they start kind of confiding in each other
Yeah.
about how their names are really stupid.
right.
Right? He's like, I'm Dewey. People call me that. They don't take me seriously. You know?
Right.
And she's like, well, my name's Gale Weathers. It's, you know, I might as well be a meteorologist, not a investigative journalist.
Yes.
Like, no one takes me seriously. So they kind of connect on this level.
Yeah, they have common ground there.
Yeah. So it's not just like a physical attraction. It's, you know, they have something there to connect with.
Yeah, of course.
And so for some reason, I forget what car is driving by, but the kids are leaving to go see the dead body of the principal.
Yes, they found out Mr.
Bunch of
Hembry was
a-holes.
killed, and they want to see it because he was hanging
Well-
from the goalpost.
These are the guys that got expelled by him
Yes.
20 minutes ago.
True. I'm sorry. I've been expelled. I did not want to see the person who expelled me hanging from a goalpost.
You were expelled?
I was.
Oh,
Yes.
wow, I didn't know that.
Right.
Who'd you kill?
Thankfully, it wasn't due to a murder. Rap.
Okay,
But
all right.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have to talk about it. It's,
No, I was a little shithead kid, and
Okay.
I like halfway through junior year, I just went really south and started, acting up.
Yeah.
And eventually they
oh,
took me
man,
down.
that sucks.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad the person who expelled you wasn't murdered.
Yes.
So that's good.
I made sure that didn't happen.
Right, you defended him. Yeah, so that's what happens. This van of kids who want to see a murder drive down the road
Right.
and kind of knock them off. So, like, Dewey and Gale go flying into the woods. And
Yeah.
they roll on top of each other, and wouldn't you know it, they kiss.
Yeah. It's a perfect roll on top of.
Yeah.
It only exists in the movies because
Yeah.
in real life, your head would hit every stone.
I've
that
never
was there.
rolled on top of.
Never.
Doesn't happen.
No, not and once in my whole life. And
I've, like, landed on someone,
yeah, that's true.
and that's not romantic.
No. I think I've kneed somebody like
Right, yeah.
accidentally.
There's always an injury.
Of course. But yeah, nothing is as awesome as this.
And they look and they find the car. It's right next to him. It's Sydney's dad's car. It's in the woods.
Yeah.
So they're like, what the hell is he doing here? Because he's been missing the whole time. They've been trying to locate him.
Right.
And he never arrived at his hotel or anything like that. So he's been kind of a suspect almost. Like,
Yeah.
he's here, he's around maybe. Or he's a victim. You don't really know. But his car's here.
And they need to talk to him.
Yeah, they need to talk to him. They need to find him.
Right.
So they run back to the house. And at this point, it was probably sometime, somewhere in here.
Yeah.
This whole party scene is like 40 minutes long or
I
something.
know. It's like the last half of the movie.
like when we got to the party, I was like, holy shit, this movie flew by. But then I didn't realize how long the party actually
Right.
goes on.
Right.
But Tatum goes to get beer in the fridge at one point, and this is her demise.
Yes.
She goes in, It's dark. She can't leave because the door's locked. Someone has locked it behind her. And she tries to go out the garage door. It's on an opener, right? But someone closes it when she tries to open it. She turns around and Ghostface is standing there. And she thinks it's Randy or Stu or somebody.
Right.
Who does she say, Stu? I have no idea.
Yeah.
She says it's not funny. If Sydney sees that, she's going to kill you.
Right.
So it turns out it's really Ghostface. And he pulls out the knife and starts to attack her.
Tatum does pretty well against the attacker. She holds her own for a while. She even executes a perfect back body drop on that staircase.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Awesome. Great move.
Yeah, and she throws a couple beer bottles right at the head.
Yeah.
You know? Her only bad move is trying to go out the dog door.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, what else do you do? Try to open the door again? I don't know. Or you grab a spade and you do a Jeffrey Combs on him? Pop the head off with that shovel?
Well, I mean, that's an option too.
Yeah.
But yeah, trying to go out the dog door in that situation where you haven't like incapacitated the killer, that's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, because I mean, he could come grab your legs.
Yes.
He can stab you right in the back.
You're really vulnerable.
And I mean, she can barely fit through this thing, right? She's struggling.
Right.
So the killer does is push the button to open the garage door, which, if you've ever like touched a garage door while it was opening, it goes back down.
It does. The only defensible thing I can think of for like this scene is that maybe back then they weren't quite so sensitive. Like maybe the openers were.
Yeah, this is a big like 1950s American garage opener.
Yes, right. And the door itself,
like this is a U.S. steel product.
Oh, of course, exactly. Yes, but the door itself is also one of those lightweight accordion doors.
Yeah,
it's weird because like at our house we had this the door itself was just like one big piece, whatever it was, like
the one that kind of like folds open.
So it didn't, it folds open. It had like hydraulic, not hydraulic exactly, like just spring loaded.
Right, it's
door.
not the one that kind of rolls up.
It doesn't roll. Right.
Yeah.
So you had to when you opened it, you had like that one pull tab in the middle of it. You just like open it and the whole thing would come up, and it was heavy.
Yeah.
Like this door that she's in the dog door at the bottom of this like folding door, and she is killed. With the impact.
There's enough power in this garage opener to lift Rose McGowan off the ground. I mean, it wouldn't work if you ask me. But, I mean...
Is she electrocuted at all?
No, I don't think so. But, we get a shot of, like, her getting closer to the roof where it's going to decapitate her or something.
Now, that would have been better. If she if there was some jagged edge and her head
was
came
like a
off,
sheer slice.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
Right. Like maybe and instead of she just
gets like jammed up in it and her neck's all busted and she's dead.
Yeah, she gets mangled by this garage door opener.
Yeah. So
and it's an instant death too.
Yeah. And no one at the party hears it because this is before everyone leaves.
Yeah. Now they are all in the living room carrying on while they're watching Halloween.
Yeah, so there's screams and everyone's hooting and hollering and
because they're watching the scene where like PJ Souls gets her tits out and they're like, "Whoa!" They're yelling about that.
The obligatory shot.
Yes.
Yeah. Then Randy goes on about how Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't show him until Trading Places.
Right.
But Tatum's dead in the dumbest death in the movie.
Yes, I agree. It's always kind of bothered me because like. The aftermath is like cool and gross looking.
When they show her later,
it's like a good dummy and everything. But it's just like that's not what would happen to you in that situation.
Stupid,
right?
Yeah. In a movie this smart,
yeah.
I think it's out of place. Right? This kind of a kill isn't suited for this kind of a movie.
And even like on the when she was on her way up in the garage door, she could have just wiggled out of it.
She was like flailing and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, go reverse.
Yeah, that's right.
She's still trying to get out the front.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it ain't happening.
Yeah.
But she's dead now.
Yep.
And
but she's dead now.
And at some point, Billy shows up to the party.
Yep.
I think it's now.
Yes, I remember that because it was another one of my least favorite lines of the film. Stu says something like offensive in front of Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
And Billy says, "Subtlety, Stu, look it up."
Yeah, he's like, you guys can go up and use my parents' bedroom, talk it out, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then I think that's where he gives him that look. Okay, Stu, shut up.
Subtlety, Stu.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Yep. And then they go upstairs in the bedroom, and they're sitting on, like, this twin mattress in this mansion.
Yeah.
Like, this is Little Orphan Annie's bed.
I know. And it's... I think it's the exact same set as, like, Tatum's bedroom at
It
Tatum
looks
and
similar,
Dewey's house.
yeah.
Yes, I think it's the exact same set. And yeah, it is a child's bedroom.
Maybe
And
they didn't go in the parents' room. Maybe they went in a different room.
It's possible, yeah. But, yeah, it is a small bed, and I don't even remember the content of their discussion before they get into it. Do they talk about anything?
They kind of talk about everything that's happened,
Okay.
and they both kind of apologize for the way they've been behaving.
Okay.
And Sydney is like, you know what? You're right. I am a horrible woman who's traumatized, and I need to get over it and sleep with you already. So she does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care about my mom's death anymore. I just don't want to be a virgin. Do me. I mean, yeah, right.
On.
He says something about, like, you remind me of Jodie Foster in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
That's your move?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's what, like, seals the deal.
That's what heats her up?
Yeah. Yep, it gets her going.
Yeah.
And
She says something like, I'd rather be in a Meg Ryan movie or in a porno movie. And then that's when they do it, yeah.
in a porno movie, that's right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot that she said that.
Yeah. And they do it, and it's a tasteful sex scene, you know?
Yes.
It's not very gratuitous.
And it's commented on because, like, I think around this time is when Randy is making the speech about, you know, like...
The gratuitous nudity
Yes.
and sex and stuff, yeah.
Because they cut back to what looks like it's going to be Neve Campbell revealing her nudity, but instead, like, it just... Skeet Ulrich goes in right in front of her.
Yeah, he obscures it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we now know that, like, I guess they're telegraphing that Sydney will be the final girl.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So where are we at now? The party has a lot of moving parts.
It
so
does, yes.
So let me find where we are.
Okay.
Everyone has left the party.
Right.
Dewey and Gail have gone off, and they're coming back, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
And I guess we're at the post-sex scene, I guess. Like,
Right.
Because they're sitting there, and Skeet Ulrich is like, hey, are you all right? And Sydney's like, yeah. And Sydney says something to him about, like, when you were in jail, who did you call? Because while he was in jail, the killer called her
Right.
at Tatum's house. And he says, well, I called my dad. And she says, well, the sheriff said he called your dad. So why'd you call him? He's like, well, when I called him, he didn't answer. So I guess she still doesn't trust him.
Right.
Because he gets up and he gets in her face almost like he's about to reveal, I'm the killer, motherfucker.
Yes.
But he says, like, what do I have to do to prove to you I'm not the killer? And as he says this, Ghostface appears behind him with a knife and comes down and stabs him in the back.
Right.
Which is pretty good. I like this because it's like, all right, so maybe he is the killer. And he literally says the most ironic thing ever and then gets stabbed.
Wait,
How do I prove I'm not the killer? And then he gets killed.
But you said maybe he is the killer. What do you mean maybe he is the killer?
When he leans in, it looks like he's about to reveal he's the killer. Just the way his face looks.
Oh, before Ghostface shows
Before
up.
Ghostface
I'm
shows
sorry.
up.
Okay, yeah.
Before Ghostface shows up. He
Got it.
looks like he's
Okay.
going to reveal he's the killer.
I see.
But that's not what he says.
Got it.
He says, what do I have to do to prove I'm not the killer?
Right.
And then he gets killed by the killer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like how the scene plays out that way.
Yeah, and it's a weird use of red herring because, like, the killer himself showed up.
Yes, in the scene.
Right. But we don't know what the relationship is yet.
So Stu was probably in the mask in this case.
Yeah, Stu was the killer here, yes. I figured that much out. You're right. Wow, shit.
Easy clues in this movie.
Exactly.
So he goes down, he's bleeding, he's dead,
Uh-huh.
right? And Sydney runs out onto the roof, I guess, or she's chased in the attic.
She goes out the window, and when she goes down the side of the house, like, it's one of those treacherous roofs that, like, it doesn't look like there's good footing there.
No one could ever roof this again.
No way,
It's too
dude.
steep.
Yeah.
It's
oh
impossible.
my gosh. Yeah. How would you put shingles on this thing? I mean, like,
You can't.
It's a 90-degree angle.
Magic would have to be done.
I know, right? You have to be like on a crane or something.
Bob Vila could not do this.
No, absolutely not.
But the ghost face killer like tries to stab her through the window, and she ends up falling backwards into a boat.
Yeah.
And she's fine because she landed on a tarp.
She goes back first onto this boat tarp.
Like from the second story.
This
might be the third story,
yes.
actually.
And like it's not a trampoline. It's just the tarp that's over the boat. So like she could still like break her spine over the
right.
You know,
yes.
like the
she
driver's
must have
seat.
Landed on like all the inflatables that were inside.
Yes, it must be a bunch of inner tubes in there.
I heard some like squeakies go off when she landed.
Right.
But yeah, she's fine.
Yeah.
I guess it's plausible.
Sure.
We don't know what's under that tarp. Right. You know, it could just be like peanut packing. You know, like that's it.
But she sees Tatum.
Oh yeah, she gets off the boat.
Right.
She runs towards the garage and sees Tatum and screams.
Right.
And I guess the killer is out chasing her too.
Yeah, the killer is now like outside, you know, running around chasing her, and you know she ends up getting into the Jeep Grand Cherokee that's parked outside. It's the police vehicle. It's Dewey's cruiser.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Yes, and she's in there, and she's trying to get away, but she can't because Dewey's got the keys.
Yeah.
And so...
and we had seen him, like, fall down because the killer had stabbed him or something at some point.
Right, because he went into the house to like, you know...
He stumbles
investigate.
Back out.
Right,
yeah.
Yes, and the killer subdued him.
Yeah, so...
But didn't kill him.
Exactly. We find out later.
Right.
So she's in the car, and I don't know how or why, but I totally forgot about this scene... And it like brought me back to 1996. I was like, oh my God, I remember watching this for the first time and thinking it was the coolest scene.
Yeah.
Because she's in the car. She locks all the doors, but the killer has the keys. And the killer like ducks down out of frame and you can't see the killer.
Right.
So now we don't know where the killer is. And he keeps unlocking different doors. And Sydney's playing whack-a-mole with these door locks, you know. And as that's happening, the back of the police cruiser opens up, and the killer comes in and, like, grabs her.
Yes.
And she gets away again. Does she, like, punch him in the face or kick him? I forget what she does.
She just struggles enough and, like throwing hands enough to, like, you know, get him out of the way. And it's kind of reminded me of, like, in Halloween when, like, Michael has Laurie dead to rights on the couch, and he just full-on whiffs with the knife plunge.
Yes.
And I just thought, you know, Ghostface, there's nowhere for Sydney to go. If you can't kill her now, you're not going to kill her.
Exactly. Yeah, you might as well give up.
Right.
So, yeah, I think she even turns around and, like, kicks him at one point.
Yeah.
Gets out the car, runs back in, and, like, Gail is here doing something at one point. She, like, gets the van and drives away. Oh, man, like, everybody's dead at this point. Like, Like, Kenny gets killed. He gets his throat slashed, the camera guy.
Yes, because Ghostface had gotten into the van and killed Kenny.
Dude, oh, yeah. And there's a great scene of they're watching the footage from inside the house. The camera has a 30-second delay. And so Sydney and Kenny are in the van watching it.
Pretty cool, yeah.
And they see the Ghostface killer walking behind Jamie Kennedy. And this is a really cool, like... I guess an accidentally meta moment where Jamie Kennedy is watching Halloween and he's yelling at Jamie Lee Curtis saying, Jamie, turn around.
Oh my gosh.
Jamie, turn around. And behind Jamie Kennedy is the killer.
How did I not get that joke until just now?
I didn't get it till yesterday, so it's fine.
Oh my gosh, man. I feel, that's a pretty good joke.
I don't know if it was intentional or not, though. Like, if it just was something that was an accident of casting that guy named Jamie.
Well, it's a really cool mistake if that's the case.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, that's pretty cool,
That's
man.
awesome.
But because there's the delay, they forget the killer is not in the house anymore. And that's when Kenny gets his throat slit.
Right.
And then Gail, like, winds up in the van with the cellular, and she has to drive away, and someone waves her down, and she, like, ends up hitting a tree, and, like, chaos is just happening at this place, dude.
And it looks like she's kind of out of the picture.
It looks like she might be dead.
Yes.
Because she freaking ramps this van.
Right.
Like, she goes 50 yards, man. She's like the Clark Griswold takes that van and flies through the air.
I know, yeah. She catches air, and then she runs into a tree. And, now Sydney is back in the house, and by this point, like, I think this is when they reveal themselves.
Yes, because I think Stu and Randy both run up to her from outside.
Right.
She's in the house
That's
now
right.
at the door, and those two guys run up saying, "Oh my God, he's the killer. No, he's the killer."
Yes.
And Sydney's like, "Fuck you both," and closes the door.
Yeah, good move.
Yeah, good idea.
She can't trust anybody in this moment.
Right. So, and I think she has Dewey's gun or something at this point too.
Yes.
And then Billy stumbles down the staircase because I guess the killer didn't kill him while they were in
Right.
the bedroom. He's bleeding all over the place, but he falls down the stairs, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're alive!" And he's like, "All right, Sydney, give me the gun." And she gives him the gun, and then this is when he reveals he's the killer.
I keep saying my least favorite lines in the film, and it's unfair to Kevin Williamson to look at his screenplay, 28 years later, but it's just one of these things that I would have done differently. He turns around and he says, "We all go a little mad sometimes,"
Yes, the psycho line.
which would have been fine if he just says the line and that's that. But he says, "Anthony Perkins, Psycho."
He quotes it.
There was no need to do a works cited on this quote. I mean, goddamn, that sucks.
Yeah.
You know, and
It happens a lot.
I know, and it's not an accident because it's like they do the same thing in Scream 2. After Jerry O'Connell serenades Nev Campbell in the college cafeteria, Timothy Olyphant says, "Oh yeah, Top Gun, 86."
Oh my God.
I mean, it's so
I know.
stupid.
The movie is about like meta movie references, right?
Yeah.
Like, so maybe we don't need that spelled out to us, but I can see why they throw that in because that's the angle of the film
Yeah.
to reference and homage these type of things. But I agree, giving the citation is a little too much.
It kind of ruins it. It's just awkward and graceless.
Imagine if every time we were like hanging out somewhere, we're like, "You're the best around." Karate Kid, 84.
That's the equivalent. That is what,
Yeah,
that
it
is
would
what
never
he's
happen,
doing.
right?
Right. Like if you had to when people explain jokes,
Yeah.
it's kind of the same
Yeah.
thing.
If you don't get the reference, you don't get it.
Right.
That's fine.
Right. And like if I didn't remember that We All Go a Little Mad Sometimes was part of Psycho, then it eventually would have come to me later. I would have watched Psycho and go, "Oh, that's
Yeah,
right. He
you would
says
have made
it there."
the connection. Oh, Wayne's World 2 is The Graduate.
Yes.
that was
yes,
that was me, everybody.
Of course, like you get that reference later on after you and then you appreciate the reference that came before it.
Yes, exactly. So I think he shoots someone. He shoots Randy here? He shoots somebody.
Shoot Randy?
I think he shoots Randy. I can't remember. I don't know.
I can't believe how little I remember some of this stuff.
I just watched this.
I just watched it.
There's a lot happening, though.
I know.
There is a whole lot happening.
Right, because we have this like scene in the kitchen, which is the main thing.
Yeah, because Billy has
Yeah.
the gun. He says the psycho line and reveals to Sydney. Oh, Sydney knows, like, oh my God, he's the killer.
Right.
And so she runs, and Stu appears in like the kitchen doorway and kind of blocks her. And she's like, Stu, he's the killer. And he like holds up this voice box thing and talks and says, "Surprise, Sydney."
Surprise.
And it's the
Yeah.
voice from the phone.
Yeah.
So this reveals that Stu is in on it.
Right.
So now we have a double killer situation.
Yes, and they lay out everything. And obviously this is the trope of the talking killer.
Yeah.
And they have to like let Sydney know why they're doing what they're doing. And they even go into like, I bet you want our motive, but
Yeah.
maybe there's no motive. Maybe we're just, sociopaths. And then they reveal, no, there is motive. You see, Liev Schreiber didn't actually kill your mother. It was, she died for different reasons.
Yeah.
And apparently it led to like an unhappy home for Billy.
Yeah.
Because her mother was having an affair with his dad.
Yep. And they split up, and my mom abandoned me.
Yeah.
And it's all because of your mother.
Right.
Yeah. So he was the one who killed her mother, apparently, the year before.
Yeah, he did it.
And he framed Cotton Weary, Liev
Right.
Schreiber's character.
Right.
He's in the movie for literally like 5 seconds, actually. He's not even a character,
Yeah,
but he's just in the newscast.
In video footage,
Yeah.
and it's Liev Schreiber with no dialogue.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, Liev Schreiber. I wish he had more to do with this movie. He's in other movies, though, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember the sequels,
because I
really.
remember his death in Scream 3.
Okay. He was in 3, but not 2? Or was he in 2?
Now I can't remember.
There's so many,
I
and
know.
there's a lot of... Because all the, like, inside-out, like, weaving back and forth that happens through this movie's plot...
Yeah.
it just like magnifies as the sequels go on because they have to one up it, right?
And I really hope, and I think actually this is what happened. I think he helps Sidney kill the killer in part 2.
Okay, that might be it.
I think that's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, he's barely in this movie.
Right.
Anyway, side tangent, I guess. But,
Yes.
they're in the room talking away,
Yep.
right?
Yes,
And
talking away.
yep. And so now they explain, like, yeah, and this is how it's going to go down. I guess they reveal that they have Sidney's dad tied up, and Stu goes and grabs him and brings him out. Stu is just kind of like completely over the top, like he's like super excited to finally reveal this.
I know, and he's just kind of like,
Like the most excited he's ever been.
Yeah, like the just frenetic Matthew Lillard.
You gotta love this Sandman. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
He's so good.
I know.
But yeah. So the plan is, your dad went crazy on the 1-year anniversary. Couldn't take it anymore, so he kills you and then he blows his brains out.
Right.
Leaving me and Stu to survive. So they got the dad out, and Sydney's still there. She's kind of cornered because did they sit the gun on the kitchen counter, actually?
Because they have to stab each other.
Yeah, because now you get... I think this is a great turn of events that is totally unexpected.
Uh-huh.
Both Stu and Billy take turns stabbing each other because they have to be victims. Right? No one's going to buy that they didn't get attacked.
Yes.
And survive this.
Yes, and like they fight over the extent of their injuries.
Yes, yeah. Because Stu gets stabbed a little too much, I think. So then Stu stabs Billy a little too much in revenge.
Yes.
And then Billy like stabs him again and then slices him. Like they get mad at each other.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? This was the plan.
I know. And they...
It's gonna hurt.
And they should have made... If a plan this extensive should have had provisions in there for this moment.
Yeah.
You know, okay, maybe we stab each other beforehand. Or we figure out a way, like, let's figure out where we're stabbing each other.
Yeah.
You know, how is this going to go down? And we read about it. We make sure that, like, we know what's going to happen.
Why don't we kill them, then stab each other?
There you go. Right. Yes.
Not
yes.
weaken ourselves and almost kill ourselves before we have to kill them.
And tell them the plan. I mean, it's... Yeah. Oh, man.
Yes, but while they're doing this, Stu goes to grab the gun or something,
yeah.
and they realize it's gone.
Right.
And Sydney's gone. Because while they were messing with each other, she snuck away and got the gun.
Right. And Gail has the gun now. She ends up... Yeah.
Does Gail have the gun?
Yes.
Dude, I can't believe how much we don't remember.
I know, it sucks. I'm very sorry, everybody.
It's all right. It's probably funny.
Right.
Or not.
Yes.
It's embarrassing.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, when Sydney made her escape, Gail got the gun, and she's now pointing it at Billy.
Okay.
And eventually she tries to shoot them. She can't because the
Gotcha.
safety's on. So they incapacitate her, and she's now laying in the heap with her and Dewey.
You're right. I was wrong. Gail got the gun, but Sydney did escape
Yes.
and went somewhere.
And she went somewhere. We don't know where yet, but they eventually they Stu is losing blood rapidly.
Oh yeah, he's like sitting on a chair now. He's
Yes.
like, "Man, you caught me. I think I'm dying."
Yeah, see, I think I'm dying. I laughed out loud at Matthew Lillard.
He's hilarious in these scenes, right?
Man.
Like even his improv lines and
Yeah.
stuff are so good. Like my mom and dad are gonna be so mad at me.
I know.
So funny, man.
And eventually, there's this confrontation that takes place.
Yeah, Sydney. Well, we get a phone call at the house.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And
yes.
Billy answers it, and it's Sydney with the voice box.
Yes.
And she says, like, let's play a game. It's called, I just called the motherfucking police and they're on their way. Like, she takes the voice box away, and then it's Sydney's voice. It's so funny, dude.
Yep.
It's like, hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Sydney, go.
Good revenge.
Dude, this is awesome. She's not just the victim standing there crying. She's
Right.
doing something about it.
Yeah, of course. And she managed to find her dad. Her missing father was tied up in the basement of this house.
Yep.
She gets him, and he's not much help in the confrontation because he's still tied up with duct tape.
Yep. And I think while I love this moment, Billy's still on the phone, and it kind of like slips out of his hand, and it like the cord like pulls it back, and it hits Stu in the head.
Yes.
And he's like, "You hit me with the phone, dick." I fucking love that line.
Matthew Lillard is like, I keep mispronouncing his name, Matthew Lillard. Excuse me, everybody. He is exactly the kind of friend you had back then.
Oh yeah, he definitely is.
Right.
But Billy is like kind of looking around the house now, and Sydney jumps out of the closet. He opens the door,
Right.
and she jumps out wearing the Scream like Ghostface costume.
Yeah.
And stabs him with an umbrella right in the chest, and he goes up against the wall, and you feel that impact.
Yeah,
dude, it looks bad.
A cool, like, I don't know if it's like a blunt umbrella topper. Whether it is or not, whether it's sharp or blunt.
Yeah.
Being stabbed with that is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I read that that Skeet Ulrich had like some kind of surgery when he was young and had some kind of steel plate over his chest in some area there.
Oh, geez.
And there was a pad on on him for the stunt, right? But on one of the takes, I don't know if Nev Campbell actually did the stunt or not. Whoever did the stabbing,
right,
missed the pad and hit him, and like went and touched the metal and stuff that's in his body.
Oh my gosh!
Or did something, pressed on it. So that face he makes is like real pain.
Whew.
Yeah.
All right.
So, do your own stunts at your own risk, everybody.
Yes. I mean, you're getting stabbed with an umbrella.
Doesn't matter if it's blunt or not,
right.
Dude. But yeah, Sydney has the upper hand here. Like,
yes.
Stabbed the guy. Does she go and get the gun now from where Gale was?
Well, so by now, like, Stu has like he's now up and around.
He's gotten the strength to chase her now.
Yes, and she manages to get him into the living room, and she he falls down at some point, and she kills him.
Oh my God.
Yes, I mean, dude, death by large tube television set. It should have happened in movies way more often than it did.
Yes.
You know, it's just such a gruesome way to die because you're getting electrocuted and cut up with glass at the same time.
Yeah. She dumps this giant Sony Trinitron on his head.
Yes, that's right.
It's like Ed Harris in Creepshow.
Yeah.
The tombstone just goes down.
Yes.
You're dead.
I love when the TV, it comes down on his head, the glass breaks, and then it fritzes out in the back.
And his body kind of goes...
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's so good.
I'll tell you what, it looks better than Liev Schreiber's death in Sphere, which looks similar when the flames hit him from the
You're
front
right.
and his body kind of goes... Ugh.
Oh, man, yes.
But that's just a puppet going... you know? I had to bring back Liev, man.
I know. I had a feeling Sphere would be referenced at some point.
Yes. So Billy gets back up and chases Sydney again, I think.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sydney has the gun and she shoots him. And he goes down.
When does Gale come back?
I guess I don't know if she comes back now or not. Randy comes back though.
Because if I remember right, I thought Gale shot him.
Maybe she does.
She does because she makes the reference that like, oh, I didn't mess with the safety this time.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
So Gale is the one who does it.
Yes.
Yeah, because Billy's about to get Sydney and Gale fires from off camera. We don't know she's there.
Because she like roused. I mean, she came out of her coma.
because she wasn't killed.
Right.
I don't know what they did to her actually.
They
pushed. I think he kicks her into a post.
Yes, and then she goes down in like the crook of Dewey's arm.
Yeah. All right, these guys are bad killers.
They're terrible killers. They talk too much. They don't kill people they should.
They almost killed themselves first.
I mean, kill everybody. Yes.
You're right.
Ugh.
Yes. So yeah, Billy's dead.
Right.
Or is he? Because Randy is not dead apparently. He gets up and says, "Careful. This is the moment when the supposedly dead killer comes back for one more scare." And then Skeet Ulrich down on the ground reaches up with a hand and goes, "Ah!"
Yeah.
And then Sydney shoots him in the head.
Right.
Not in my movie.
I just one last scare is it was used in non-horror movies too.
Yeah.
You know, Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction does a one last scare. And it's
That's
really cheap.
horror tertiary, I would say.
It is. I guess you're right. It's
like, I wouldn't call it a horror movie.
It wouldn't be in the horror section of the video store.
Right, yeah. It'd be in drama or something.
It would, yes. But it is a little weird that like she you know, like out of the shower, and Ann Archer has to like take her down again.
Yes. So, yeah, Billy Loomis reaches up
Yep.
for one last scare.
Right.
And that's the end of this night because we cut to the morning. The sun is rising.
Right.
And the police are on the scene. They're wheeling Dewey away in an ambulance because apparently he survived.
Yeah.
Gail is ready to start reporting live. She's putting makeup on. Who's filming her, by the way?
Yeah, because Kenny's dead.
Kenny is dead.
She must have just called the TV station and said, hey, get me a crew down here.
Get me a replacement.
Yes.
Yeah, so she's starting to report on her exclusive.
Right. Right. And it is an exclusive. I mean,
it really is.
She's got
first-hand account.
This is a real story, and she just like Hunter S. Thompson. This is gonzo journalism.
Yes, it is. And as she walks towards the house and starts her newscast, the camera cranes up and away from the house, and you see the sky, and the 90s music starts playing.
Yep.
And it's really cool.
Yeah.
And then the credits come on.
Yes.
We get one more scare, though, because I think it says scream, and then it cuts to a jump scare of Ghostface.
Ah.
So and it's like there's a scream, and Ghostface appears on the screen for a few frames.
Wow. All right. I don't know how I forgot about that one last scare. I mean,
yeah.
I
didn't remember it until the other day when I watched it.
Yes.
So,
right.
But they gave us one last scare.
Well, that's probably one last scare too many.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I think we just are good with a last scare.
You know, I think you know my position on this. I really don't like when characters who were killed come back to life and go blah.
Or when they come back and explain that the guy's going to go blah.
Yeah. That's pretty bad too. Yeah.
Yep. Randy.
Right.
Well, that's the end of the movie.
Yes.
I do apologize to everyone. The ending of the movie, we couldn't keep it straight. But it all is kind of happening all at the same time.
I know.
And that makes it sound like the movie's not edited well or anything.
Right.
That's just on us, I think. But the movie really is crafted extremely well.
Yes, of course. Yeah. And if I had watched it 2 hours ago, I would have been a lot better.
Right, Saturday night I forgot, so I'm sorry.
Right. Right.
Anyway, you got anything else?
So there is one piece of cool 90s stuff that I'd like to just talk about briefly. To this day, I really want Billy's Party Night flannel.
I'm trying to remember it.
So it's this lovely
Billy's
color pattern with Tar Heel and seafoam blue.
Okay.
And you pair that with some Guess jeans or some 501s, and you're going places. You know?
You go.
Yeah. I just
you're ending upstairs with Nev Campbell.
You know, it just looked great.
Yeah. Speaking of 90s stuff, do you remember the cover art of it became the most common cover art. All the characters are standing there in a row.
Yes.
All looking at the camera, and it's just kind of their faces looking at us,
yes.
all cool.
Sometimes there's
all the hip stuff.
Right. There's two rows.
Yeah, one on the left, one on the right.
Yes, and then they kind of go into a V-shaped vanishing point.
Yes.
To where there's maybe 5 of them. And I think in this case, David Arquette is the guy in the back.
He's in the back. Drew Barrymore is might be the only one on the left.
Yes.
She's very prominent.
Front left, yes.
It makes it look like she's the star of the movie.
Right.
And then in the front on the right is
Nev Campbell.
No, it's not Nev Campbell. Is
it Skeet Ulrich?
It's Skeet Ulrich.
Oh, geez. That's right. You're right. It is.
And
yes.
Nev's behind him. But I got to say, the facial hair on this cover is not right.
It's inaccurate.
Because Dewey doesn't even have the mustache.
Right.
Skeet Ulrich looks like Dave Navarro.
Yes, he does.
He's got this Satan goatee.
He does.
Where was this in the movie?
It's really dumb. I know. That sucks. I mean, I guess hair continuity on 90s movie posters wasn't a concern, because if you look at Pulp Fiction, Samuel L. Jackson doesn't have his Jules Winfield wig.
That's true.
It's really dumb.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't get it.
Why did they do that?
It makes no sense.
I mean, it was just photographing people at Cannes or something?
Was it that hard to Photoshop then? I imagine it was much easier than, I don't know, a few years before that. I mean,
but you must have a plan going in. Yes, there were computers. That's true. But you could even just tell Skeet Ulrich, listen, we're going to get a picture of you right now for the poster.
Maybe they'd have to pay him an extra $5,000 to shave his goatee. That's probably what it was.
That is probably how much a shave costs in Hollywood. You're right. So
yes, he had a contract.
Yes.
You know, like Sigourney Weaver got $800 billion for shaving her head again.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It works.
Right.
And one more funny story I remember from this movie is my stepsister went and saw it like opening night, I think.
Yeah.
At the theater, and she was 3 years older than me, and I had my buddy spending the night that night.
Yeah.
And so what we did, of course, was we had a Scream mask from prior Halloweens because it was a common cheap costume that were at Halloween stores.
The ghost face mask.
The ghost face costume.
Right.
Yeah. So we had that at the house. And so what we did, we propped it up at the edge of the hallway with a mop so that when she exited her bedroom, she would see it in the dark.
Dude.
And let me tell you, in the middle of the night, we heard a scream. And we heard, Scott! Because she knew I did it.
Oh. Well,
I got an earful. She didn't beat me to death, but
you're lucky there.
It was really funny.
Did you get in bad trouble?
Oh, yeah. No, we didn't, actually.
Oh.
I don't think I was told on.
Holy crap. So wow.
Yeah, just me and my buddy were laughing. Talk about snot-nosed little shit kids.
Yeah, that's true. Man, yeah, you guys had a lot more coming to you than just getting yelled at.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So that's my Scream story, everybody.
That's awesome.
All right, Dave, would you recommend the movie?
Yes. Everybody should see Scream if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, Scream is an essential. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're talking about horror movies, this one kind of changed the game in the 90s. So you definitely got to see it.
Right.
All right, and that wraps up the horror month, Dave. It's the end of October. We got to get back to reality, but it's always awesome to have the spooky time.
Always
I
a
love
great
it, man.
time, yeah.
So everybody out there, if you like what you heard, please subscribe to the show anywhere you get your podcast. Rate it, review it, and most of all, share it. It gets more dudes listening to the dudes. And you can go to dudesonmovies.com and find anything you need right there.
Yeah, and we're on Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Instagram. Look for Dudes on Movies, and our email address is dudesonmovies@gmail.com.
That's right. And Dave, we have a question of the week. What is the question of the week?
Who are your favorite final girls?
That's a good one. You got two in this one, actually.
That's
now
true,
that I think
yeah,
about it.
you're
So-
right.
So hit us up, let us know, and stay tuned next week when we discuss 1988's The Naked Gun, directed by David Zucker and starring Leslie Nielsen. So until next week, I'm your dude Scott.
I'm your dude Dave.
And we'll see you next time.